On our wedding anniversary, my husband's personal phone wouldn't stop ringing. His expression darkened as he kept dismissing the calls, yet never turned it off. When the 11th ring pierced the air, I stood up. John rose with me, panic flashing in his eyes. "Honey," I smiled, cutting him off. "I'm just washing my hands." My gaze drifted past him to the vibrating phone glowing on the couch. This time, he'd answer. The faucet's steady stream muffled his deliberately hushed voice through the door crack. "I told you not to call today. I'm spending time with her. Where should I pick you up? There are plenty of drivers, why insist on me? You're back in the country?" His voice jumped an octave. Footsteps approached the bathroom, paused, then retreated. Having confirmed my apparent ignorance, his tone softened with exasperated fondness. "Flying here alone without warning? Don't cry." After waited silence, resignation crept in. "Find somewhere warm to wait. I'll come now." I watched soap bubbles spiral down the drain. He'd probably feared I'd stop him. When I emerged, only a note remained on the dining table. "Honey, urgent project issue at the office. Back by midnight." Below, ink gouged the paper, "I love you." A jewelry box held the translucent jadeite bangle I'd glanced at twice during last month's auction. $2 million. How generous. Remembering my purse in his car, with its new AirTag, I tracked the dot racing toward the airport. John's luxury sedan idled curbside, window down as he lit a cigarette. His chiseled jawline and million-dollar watch drew admiring glances from passers-by. But all eyes locked onto the gorgeous girl practically climbing through the window to kiss him. His cigarette hand cradling her head as the ember pulsed like a bleeding star. Who'd imagine John Hayes, pushing 40, would recreate teenage recklessness by publicly making out with his mistress during a snowstorm? The man who'd claimed corporate emergencies now traced his lover's spine with the same fingers that wore our wedding band. Perhaps the girl was tired. She stepped back, stomping her foot in a coquettish gesture that felt overly theatrical. Yet Jonathan Hayes clearly ate it up. He stepped out of the car with a cigarette dangling from his lips, grabbing her hand while tossing luggage into the trunk with his free arm. She clung to his sleeve like ivy. John took one final drag before grinding the cigarette butt under his heel. Then, in a motion polished by repetition, he pinned her between the car and brick wall. His hand slid beneath her coat. She shivered, delicate fingers curling around his neck like climbing roses. He gave her backside 2 sharp squeezes before frowning and muttering something. Her lips puckered in protest. "Get in the car," he barked. The tires screeched as they vanished down the street. I slid my recording phone back into my pocket, watching the watermelon keychain I'd bought John, now dangling from his rearview mirror, shrink into the distance. No one knew. Not even the night breeze whispering through the parking lot understood I'd waited a decade for this moment. The clock read 11:40 p.m. when I returned home. After triple-checking the deadbolt, I leaned against the door until my breathing steadied. My notification center stayed barren by morning, too busy playing house with his new toy to bother with a single callback. I'd prepared for this. The logical part of my brain had rehearsed this exact scenario. Still, the ache in my chest felt like swallowing broken glass. The delivery box sat propped against my doorframe. As I reached for it, the door swung inward to reveal a slumped figure. John stood there in yesterday's rumpled shirt, irritation carving lines into his sleep-deprived face. "What are you doing here?" I blurted. He massaged his temples, voice gravel rough. "Why'd you lock up? Thought you weren't coming back. Where else would I go?" His laugh held an edge of exhaustion before softening. "You mad at me?" Silence stretched between us. "Christ. Sophia." His resigned chuckle warmed the crown of my head as he pressed a kiss there. "Sat on your damn doorstep all night. Feet went numb around 3 a.m. His coat hit the laundry hamper with a thump. "The merger's just business. You really think some spreadsheet matters more than this?" He nodded toward the jade bracelet glowing on the kitchen counter, the same shade as his eyes when we'd first met at that campus protest 20 years ago. Like it? The boyish grin didn't match his salt and pepper stubble. Had it couriered straight from the auction. Almost missed the damn delivery window, would have had to grovel at your feet for forgiveness. I studied him. Time had sanded John's sharp edges into something steadier. The cocky frat boy who'd scaled administration buildings now carried himself with the quiet assurance of weathered oak. Even Alex Quinn, his business partner, constantly joked about it during poker nights, aging like goddamn Bordeaux. This one. You better keep him happy. Sophia. Or some 20-something gold digger'll snatch your silver fox. John had thrown a coaster at him. Emma, Alex's wife, nearly spilled her martini laughing. Don't listen to that idiot. Everyone knows Johnny's whipped. I'd believed it once. He once vowed we'd weather life's storms together. Now I see, of course. Men understand men best. My fingers traced the bracelet as I smiled tightly. Must have been exhausting for you. Spoiling my wife? Worth every second. He murmured into my neck. Breath warm against my skin. Just tired. Sweetheart. But making money for you? I'd do it forever. The jade glinted as he fastened it around my wrist. Knew this shade would make your skin glow. When you wear this to the gala, Emma will die of envy. That cocky grin mirrored the college basketball star who'd once locked eyes with me across screaming crowds after his buzzer-beater shot. My chest constricted violently, a visceral punch of betrayal. The room tilted as blood roared in my ears. Fingernails biting crescents into the mahogany desk. You should shower and rest. I managed. He stretched lazily, trudging upstairs. Halfway up, he turned. Hazel eyes held my reflection like treasured art. Almost forgot. His velvet voice caressed the foyer. Happy 15th anniversary. Darling. Always you. I watched his shadow dissolve into the second floor before gasping like surfacing from drowning depths. Who'd suspect infidelity from that performance? Through tear-blurred vision, his unlocked phone glowed on the desk. 11 deleted calls. Meticulously curated chat histories syncing with business meetings. Security footage showed him at 12:05 a.m., fingerprint scanner failing repeatedly before he slumped against our frosted door. Oscar-worthy despair in sub-zero cold. Why? Why race to her at the airport yet play devoted husband? Self-flagellation? The girl's hooded silhouette haunted me, that delicate jawline. The way she'd pressed against glass like. Recognition struck like shattering crystal. I saw her. A year ago. Jonathan Hayes came home from his evening jog covered in mud. The gash on his left arm kept bleeding, requiring 12 stitches. My heart ached watching him. Tears streaming down my face. He brushed it off as tripping in the dark. When pressed, he grew irritable. As we drove through the gated community later, a girl in security uniform suddenly rushed to the driver's window, frantically knocking. I lowered the glass. Her eyes widened when she noticed John's bandaged arm in the passenger seat. Tears welled up as she bowed deeply. I'm so sorry, Mr. Hayes. This is all my fault. Thank you for saving me. The medical bills. The property manager behind her apologized too. Emily admitted she provoked the residence guard dog. We'll handle this per regulations. I froze. John had feared dogs since childhood. Yet he'd confronted a full-grown Rottweiler? The girl's submissive ponytail and trembling shoulders made her look pitifully fragile. John glanced at her dismissively. Forget it. As I started the engine, he added coldly. Improper work protocols make the property management primarily liable. The manager nodded. Of course. The HOA will cover all expenses. The rearview mirror showed Emily shrinking into the distance. I teased. Too shy to tell me about your heroic rescue? He smirked. Didn't want certain someone getting jealous over nothing. Wind whipped through his open window as he murmured. She was hyperventilating. Anyone would have helped. Emily quit her job months later. I never saw her again until yesterday. My hands shook as I closed the surveillance footage. Over the years, Countless women had circled John, brilliant lawyers, stunning models, sharp entrepreneurs, all infinitely more accomplished than Emily Johnson. Why her? What made this ordinary girl so special that John risked our marriage to see her? That the man who negotiated billion-dollar deals would grovel for her affection? Our 16-year union had always been first a partnership. John was nothing if not pragmatic, a businessman who'd never sacrifice hard assets for fleeting romance. Which meant Emily possessed something crucial. Something he desperately needed. The phone interrupted my racing thoughts. My secretary reminded Ms. Lambert. The acquisition timeline requires you to depart for Chicago tonight. 2-week minimum. I forced a bitter smile. Adults don't even have time to grieve. Suppressing my emotions, I instructed her to schedule a divorce lawyer and keep close tabs on John simultaneously. While he dissected details with surgical precision, I matched him move for move. But who'd have thought, during my 2-week absence, he'd become more domesticated than when I was home? Clocking out punctually daily for gym sessions, meals, housekeeping. The occasional business dinner ended after 2 polite drinks. The very image of a model husband, making my surveillance seem like paranoid delusions. I'd booked train tickets for my return but sent John my original flight itinerary anyway. His text notification chimed instantly. Frowny face, honey. Heavy storms tomorrow. Stay safe. I'll pick you up. My thumb hovered over the lock screen when Emma's call interrupted. You're divorcing? No surprise she knew. As a top law firm partner, little escaped her. Yes. John's cheating. Her pause held more resignation than shock. Evidence secured? Not enough. The mistress remains faceless. Convenient. She replied coolly. Listen to this. A voice memo transmitted through the line. Circumstantial, but enough to steal your resolve. My eyebrow arched. Emma had always championed John. When Alex's Playboy scandals exploded years ago, John sat beside me sneering at tabloid headlines, those geriatric horn dogs. I'd catch STDs just sharing their air. The internet roasted Emma as the laughingstock of elite wives. Yet she'd endured, maintaining cordial appearances with Alex till now. No lecture? Emma chuckled. We're nearly 80 combined. Let's skip the sanctimonious act. Genuine laughter erupted from me, the first in weeks. I'm pulling ahead then. Don't fall behind. The familiar gunmetal Range Rover shot past our gated community as I arrived. Emerald Crest Villas, one of John's current developments. The half-built complex's security waved my assistant's Porsche through without scrutiny. John parked effortlessly at the Crown Jewel Mansion's circular drive. I killed the engine 200 yards back under sycamore shade. Hitting record. Static crackled before Alex's trademark drawl, you're playing with fire. John's lazy chuckle followed. Says the Quinn Air cycling through starlets and PR disasters. Those were corporate expenses. You? Alex countered. Sophia just pawned her prenup jewelry through my brother-in-law, claiming cash flow issues. Then you drop $30 million on a love nest? Silence thickened the airwaves. Alex paced back and forth, growing increasingly agitated. With someone like Emily? Don't tell me you've actually fallen for her. John exhaled a plume of smoke, his tone dripping with disdain. You never say anything decent. Do you? You know exactly how much I'm sacrificed. At that moment, the wrought iron gate by the fountain creaked open. Emily emerged like a crimson-winged sprite in her billowing red dress, launching herself at John. He enveloped her in his overcoat, steadying her momentum even as his worried eyes scanned her face. His thumb brushed her forehead in mock reprimand for her recklessness. Giggling, Emily buried her face in the cashmere turtleneck she'd gifted him, leaving smudges of melted snow. The recording continued playing. Alex's voice suddenly sharpened. Don't be ridiculous. Man, what's that homewrecker ever done? Sophia's been with you for years. She even lost the crash. The sound of shattering glass cut through his words. I sat frozen, trembling like a condemned prisoner awaiting execution. Then his voice, that achingly familiar voice, sliced through the air like broken crystal. So I deserve this? Eternal damnation for one mistake? She took my child from me. Doesn't that count for anything? Flashback surged, that weekend 18 months into our marriage when constant fatigue plagued me. John insisted we hike Mount Greylock at dawn. You're lethargic because you're sedentary, he'd argued, zipping me into the new Patagonia jacket he'd bought. His fingertip booped my nose. My little housewife's turning into a proper couch potato. He'd shown me photos from his solo trips, Oakley shades gripping wind-tousled hair. Tactical gear stretched across his shoulders as he grinned before endless cloud seas. The untamed version of John I'd never fully possessed. I didn't want to dim that spark. We never found his mythical sunrise. John chose an adventurous unmarked trail that left us stranded as twilight bruised the sky. Rain-slicked leaves betrayed my footing. When I tumbled down the slope, warmth gushed between my thighs before I dared look. John stripped to his undershirt and boxers, wrapping me in his flannel before sprinting for help. I lay in bloody mud until hypothermia blurred consciousness. Woke to sterile sheets in some backcountry clinic. My womb hollowed out by rusty curettes. They could only save me in the most direct way. The price was permanent infertility. I was 25. Barely 2 months pregnant. I couldn't bear it. Begged Jonathan Hayes for divorce. He refused everything. Without consulting anyone. He secretly got a vasectomy. Lying in hospital gown beside my pillow. Tears streaming as he pleaded, Sophie. Please don't abandon me. We'll forget about the baby. I only need you. I won't survive without you. His parents rushed over. The entire Hayes family knelt before my parents begging forgiveness. I believed. Believed his suicide threats if we divorced. Believed his sincerity when he'd crawled through mountain temples on bloody knees praying for my recovery during my coma. Gambled everything on those tears and vows being eternal. Now, my nails dug into the windowsill watching the 2 lovebirds outside. That dreaded suspicion solidified. Emily Johnson caressed her belly. John obediently crouching to press his ear against the red dress clinging to a subtly rounded curve. What a heartwarming scene. I laughed until tears blurred my vision. He'd actually reversed the procedure. I'd secretly researched, after 10 years. Reversal success rates plummet. For John's decade-old surgery? Practically impossible. I'd even sighed in relief. Instructed my secretary to prepare adoption paperwork. How pathetically naive. While I planned our childless future, my husband had long since scheduled his reversal. Found himself a fresh, fertile womb. Only I still treasured those memories he trampled into dirt. Now my infertility became his justification for cheating? Emily clung to John, demanding he stay. This time, he didn't refuse. Their lips remained fused even as he shielded her toward the fountain's shadowy alcove. I wiped my tears. Enough. As their heated groans crescendoed near the splashing water, I slammed the car door. Stilettos clicked across pavement. Johnny! The panting symphony cut off. I almost thought myself deaf. Emily scrambled to button her blouse, clumsily hiding exposed cleavage as she cowered behind John. My husband stood frozen, face bloodless, checking my watch. I tilted my head. Legs not working? Need me to call security? Tears plopped down Emily's cheeks. Honey, she whimpered. The pet name jolted John awake. He yanked her upright, grimacing. Go home. Now. Emily refused to back down, clutching John's shirt hem stubbornly. I clicked my tongue in annoyance. John visibly flinched, shoving her away impatiently. Go already. What's the rush? Miss Emily. Was it? I smiled coldly. How many months along? John whirled around to block my view, eyes bloodshot and voice trembling. Honey. Please, don't ask this. Emily cowered behind him, those dewy eyes brimming with brazen triumph. 3 months yesterday. She interjected sweetly. Yesterday. My lips formed the word soundlessly. 3 months. The last thread of my composure snapped. All those weeks of his remorseful act. The tearful apologies just performance art while his mistress navigated the first trimester. Not devotion to me, but caution for his unborn heir. Enjoying this? My grin turned feral as John reached for me. It's not what you think. He pleaded desperately. Let me explain at home. I shoved him away expressionlessly. He staggered, knees buckling. Emily suddenly lunged between us like a mother hen. Stop bullying him. Can't you see he's begging you? They stood united. The picture-perfect couple. I was the interloper now. I'm the one carrying his child. She shrilled. Should his life's work vanish just because you're barren? Have you ever considered his pain? All you do is demand loyalty while giving nothing. If you loved him half as much as I do, you'd have divorced him ages ago. My gaze locked with John's. You believe this? His throat worked soundlessly, anguish etching his features. Emboldened by his silence, Emily sneered. Face it, Auntie, that marriage license is worthless. Gold-digging hens like you? Only valuable if you can lay eggs. We're the real. Crack! Crack! The twin slaps whipped her face sideways before she finished. 2 crimson handprints bloomed across her cheek as hair curtained her stunned expression. Did I ask your opinion? I flexed stinging fingers. John started forward, mouth opening in protest. One word. I cut him off icily. And I'll burn Hayes Enterprises to ash. Respect your elders and don't interrupt. Were you raised without parents? I pulled out a tissue, meticulously wiping my hands. If you want to be a whore, be one. Don't drag me into it. You disgust me. My gaze locked onto John's face. 2 days. The East Wing. Sign the divorce papers. Unless you want your precious child born as a bastard everyone despises. I scoffed, shoving the crumpled tissue into his disheveled sweater collar. Spare me the pathetic lovebird act this time. Your performance is laughably bad, genuinely nauseating. I sent the photos to Emma. She studied them, frowning. Wait. Doesn't she? Some angles look eerily like you? Did John specifically hunt down a carbon copy? I gulped ice-cold wine. My smile razor-thin. Maximize the asset division claim. That stubborn mule will drag this out. Emma's expression darkened. We caught them in bed. How can he still deny it? That's John. Turns lies into gospel, always has his flock of believers. Don't worry, Sophia. Emma squared her shoulders. Determination blazing. I'll annihilate him in court. I nodded gratefully. Thank you, Emma. I'd be lost without you. We're even. You saved me from becoming another trophy wife at those charity luncheons. The garage door hummed open. John was back. I wheeled my suitcase forward as he stepped from the elevator. Ty Askew. Lipstick smeared below his ear. He froze at the sight of me. 2 days. Don't embarrass yourself by missing it. He blocked the elevator. Throat working. Sophie, please let me explain. Slumping against the wall. He raked trembling hands through his hair. Mom's stroke last year, all those grandchildren around her hospital bed while what if that's us someday? The board's pressuring me about succession plans. I didn't want to burden you. But, his fingers closed around mine. Face pressed into my palm like a child. I never wanted divorce. Just a biological heir. No betrayal, I planned to dispose of the mother afterward. His whisper cracked. Even chose Emily because she resembles you. Our child might have looked like. The foyer light flickered. Nausea rising. You're revolting. I wrenched free. She's 20. John. Could be your daughter. I don't have a daughter. He surged up. Eyes wild with accusation. You think I'm blind? You've known for years. He stared at me with an intensity that could bore holes through steel. Lips twisted in a bitter smirk while tears streamed down his face unchecked. You've been waiting for me to cheat. Haven't you? So you'd have your noble excuse to divorce me. To walk away clean without loving me anymore. Isn't that right? The growl in his voice cracked as his composure crumbled. What crime did I commit? 16 years I've loved you. All I wanted was a child, a complete family with you. Does that make me a monster? Does that mean I deserve to be thrown away like garbage? Jonathan Hayes cornered me against the wall, his choked sobs dampening my collar. Sophia, wife, tell me what to do. I'll do anything. I've done everything. Why won't you believe I love you? His arms locked around me like iron bands as I stopped resisting. In that suffocating embrace, clarity struck like lightning. John was the ultimate self-serving hypocrite. Every betrayal, every trampling of our vows. He'd wrapped in pretty ribbons labeled for your own good and family first. His specialty? Weaponizing guilt until I started believing his affairs were somehow my cross to bear, that his infidelity became justified through warped acts of sacrifice. The elevator numbers blinked crimson as I asked flatly. You call fucking other women love? Tell me, John, when you were inside her, were you really thinking of me? He slammed his fist against the concrete wall, pacing like a caged animal. I told you, it was for us. For this family. Believe it or fucking not. Wiping his face with abrupt violence. His mask slipped to reveal cold calculation. But you? What have you done to save our marriage lately? How many nights have I laid awake watching you turn away in bed? The whole world judges me, you failed Sophia Lambert. You monster. What do they know? His laughter turned jagged. Remember the 3,000 yuan gold chain I bought you our first year? You wore it for 8 years. Now I give you a 20 million yuan bracelet and you treat it like trash. Tell me, darling, am I the one who changed? Or did your appetite simply outgrow me? Backlit by harsh fluorescent lights. His face became unreadable. Even Atlas gets tired of holding up the sky alone. What had I done? During his startup's meteoric rise, I'd fought to stay relevant, earning my MBA. Studying investment strategies until I could hold my own with his Wall Street buddies. When friends started having babies, I'd filled our emptiness with every couple's activity imaginable, mastering his favorite desserts. Taking up rock climbing, even learning fencing despite my terror of blades. I maintained my figure through 80-hour workweeks. Curated conversation topics like museum exhibits. Became the perfect corporate wife prototype. All because I feared the truth, that my infertility would become his ultimate escape hatch. Yet here we stood. My meticulous efforts reduced to ashes. While he blamed me for not applauding his adulterous sacrifices. The bitter irony tasted like copper on my tongue. Even though I was the victim here. But eventually, every relationship hits that stale phase. All my efforts were in vain. John started traveling constantly. New women I'd never seen before began appearing around him, pencil skirts hugging tiny waists. Knocking on my door with excuses like Mr. Hayes had too much to drink. I'm here to pick up his spare clothes. I barely recognized myself anymore. Paranoid. Volatile. Unhinged. Our fights escalated into nuclear meltdowns. During our 10th anniversary year, I finally filed for divorce again. That night, we tore each other apart with vicious words, shredding every last shred of dignity. Still, he refused. Slumped against the floor-to-ceiling windows. He lit his first cigarette in a decade. Ash fluttered down like gray snow as he stared bleakly outside. Sophia, he rasped. You're my responsibility. I can't divorce you. Not I love you anymore. I'd become his burdensome obligation. Fuck obligations. This was my 3rd divorce filing. The last. I smoothed my wrinkled blazer. Glancing at the suitcase he still guarded like a dragon hoarding gold. Whatever. Out with the old. I'm not asking permission, John. My lawyer will messenger the signed papers to your office. We'll finalize this at the courthouse next week. He tried reaching for me, but I'd had my fill of crocodile tears and that pathetic kicked puppy look. Let's part with some dignity, Johnny. At least pretend to be the man I once loved. My gaze swept over him coldly. But here's the thing, you've got vulnerabilities now. 1 week. Or Emily's little bun in the oven might disappear. His face purpled. Sophia Lambert. I smiled sweetly. As your almost ex-wife, let me remind you, when your mother collapsed last spring, you were busy planting your seed in Emily's womb. Let's hope your precious heir sticks around when you're dying alone someday. Unlike your mom, who only had her husband by her bedside, not even her son bothered showing up. The divorce went smoother than expected. Probably terrified for his unborn brat. Emma's ironclad agreement barely got a glance before he signed. At the Civil Affairs Bureau, the clerk reminded us about the 30-day waiting period for finalization. I nodded. He stood behind me, hesitating to speak. What's wrong? I asked. He stared at my bracelet. Can I have this back? I remained silent. He seemed to realize his cruelty. This was our anniversary gift. Demanding it back right after divorce felt shameful. I'll pay extra. 25 million. Fair? Sighing, I remarked. Emily's fortunate to have you splurging millions for her so young. John's face darkened. It's my mother. Not interested. I handed over the bracelet. Wire it to my old account. Thanks for your patronage. Contact my secretary if you want anything else. Emma waited in the car. As I settled in, she glanced at John, still frozen on the sidewalk. You returned it? Got top dollar. I waved my phone. But you loved that bracelet. I smiled brightly. Grew tired of it years ago. Originally part of my Lambert family dowry. Remember when I sold half my inheritance through your brother to fund John's failing business? This piece was appraised at $3 million back then. Maybe Emily's pregnancy made him guilt spend during that auction. Emma gently touched my cheek. Sophia, you can cry if you need to. Pausing, I finally admitted. I've mourned this marriage for a decade already. John was my choice. His love was real then. Should I hate my younger self for believing in us? Life's unpredictable, nobody gets perfect cards. But when you gamble, you pay your debts. Wiping her tear, I laughed with hard-won wisdom. Midlife's greatest lesson? Grant yourself mercy. 10 days before finalizing divorce papers, we crossed paths at a gala. While discussing projects with Mr. Lou from our client firm, I felt John materialize behind me. Never knew you had such vision. His voice slithered through champagne bubbles. Mr. Lou chuckled. Mr. Hayes. You didn't raise a songbird but a phoenix. John's hooded gaze tracked me as he sipped bourbon. Indeed. Repulsion crawled down my spine. Clinking glasses with the client. I drained my wine. You forget, Mr. Hayes and I are legally separated. Gasps rippled through nearby guests. John's jaw locked. Mr. Lou backpedaled. My mistake. MS. Lambert. I knew his respect still stemmed from John's shadow. As the former Mrs. Hayes. I never showed my face at these events before. Even in professional settings. I was merely decorative. But tonight, I was the lead negotiator. I had my own value. My own seat at the table. Then our partnership is settled. Mr. Lou laughed heartily, summoning a server to refill my wine glass himself. You're about my daughter's age. Daring to split from a billionaire husband at your age? That's the kind of guts I respect. I'd sign any deal for that fire alone. Emerging from the restroom, I found John Hayes leaning against the corridor wall. I kept walking, but he suddenly grabbed my wrist. I can't forget you, he said hoarsely, eyes dark with emotion. These past weeks, I've thought of nothing else. When my secretary mentioned you'd be here tonight, I canceled my business trip just to see you." His Adam's apple bobbed as he laughed bitterly. "I thought I could let go. But seeing you again, I love you more than I ever realized. Please don't make me sign those divorce papers." His voice broke on the last word. That familiar tremor that used to melt my resolve. In the past, one red-rimmed "I'm sorry" could erase any fight. Now I simply raised my phone and snapped a photo. He froze as I showed the screen the glaring red lipstick smudge behind his ear. "Did you remember your unborn child before rolling in bed with her?" My laugh held Arctic frost. "The divorce settlement is the last courtesy I'll extend. Keep humiliating yourself like this, and I'll make you pay in ways you can't imagine." My cruelty left him speechless. 3 months had passed since our last meeting at the courthouse. I'd thought it over. Until tonight, while organizing files, I stumbled upon my neglected personal inbox. Dozens of unread emails from an anonymous address dated back to last summer, mostly graphic accounts of her daily life. Scrolling to the earliest message, the subject line froze my blood. "Did your cat die well, sister?" The body text read frowny face. I left the door open on purpose. It kept dragging its broken leg toward home. Adorable. Attached was a photo of my ragdoll cat lying mangled on asphalt. Bile rose as I stumbled to the bathroom, dry heaving over the toilet. With trembling hands, I dialed Emma Quinn. "Why, you said Emily Johnson looked familiar before. Why?" She hesitated for a few seconds before gasping. "I remember now. At the Hayes family's party last year. I saw her. She was lurking by your back gate, and I stopped to ask what she was doing. She claimed to be a property management inspector. I paid extra attention because she looked somewhat like you, maybe 30 or 40% resemblance." My nails dug into my palms until blood seeped through the crevices. It was her. She let Louis escape. Louis, my birthday gift from Jonathan Hayes. We'd raised him together for 5 years. When they found his collar, the new yellow bow tie I'd bought was still attached. Emma had pried information from Alex. Hayes Corporation was facing significant debt issues lately. Overexpansion. Illiquid assets. The company's cash flow had nearly dried up. Protesters were already gathering outside headquarters with banners and human barricades. "Time to end this." I replied to the email, "Board meeting in 1 week. He'll stay with me." Then blocked her. At 2 a.m., I dialed John from my old phone. Back at the gambling table. This time, I'd win. His heavy breathing filled the receiver, waiting. Staring at my blurred reflection on the TV screen, I forced a smile. "Did I wake you?" A lighter clicked. "No." "What's wrong?" "Johnny," my whisper cracked. "I miss Louis." The suppressed sob sounded heartbreaking in the silent night. "I dreamed he was playing with that voice button you bought, the treats one he loved. Remember how you threatened to remove it when he overate? He pinned you to the couch so you couldn't sleep." My words dissolved. "Stop crying, Sophie." John's voice thickened. He'd adored that cat since childhood. When a stray saved him from a dog attack, Louis became his furry child. "Louis is gone. You're gone. It's just me now." My tone dripped honeyed sorrow. My expression frozen. Dawn revealed our calls still connected. He started texting daily afterward. "Sleep well? Cold front coming. Bundle up." On the board meeting day, I arrived early at the corporate plaza. The elevated vantage point offered perfect visibility of the intersection below. Timing it precisely, I called. Emily's shrill voice pierced through. "Why the headphones? Got secrets you can't say to my face? Is it inconvenient for you to talk? I'll call back another time if you prefer." I said gently. "Never mind. Go ahead," John replied. I hesitated. "Actually, I just wanted to thank you. You've helped me through a rough patch. Let me take you to dinner." "Sure. Text me the details." The next second, Emily's shrill voice pierced through. Dinner? You promised to spend today with me. Who's this woman you're meeting? Sophia? Shameless. You're divorced yet still clinging to someone else's. Enough. John roared. What did I say wrong? She's a homewrecker. You're yelling at me for her? I'm done. Pull over, I'm going home. The sound of a car door wrenching open followed. Collision warnings blared. Are you insane? This is a highway. John shouted. Emily screamed hysterically. I'll kill myself and your son. You'll regret defending that woman for the rest of your... I held my breath, spotting the familiar silver Range Rover swerving into the service lane ahead. The adjacent garage entrance, usually barricaded by debt collectors, stood inexplicably clear today. The SUV accelerated toward flower beds before slamming brakes. Before it fully stopped, Emily, bulging pregnant, leaped out, yanking the driver's door open. John stumbled out, raking fingers through his hair as she shoved him into the passenger seat. The idling vehicle's heated argument drew attention. Debt collectors swarmed like sharks scenting blood. Panicked, Emily stomped the gas to ram through, but the misaligned wheels sent the SUV careening toward hedges. John grabbed the wheel, veering sharply until the passenger side collided with a tree. Neither wore seat belts. Emily flew through the windshield. At the hospital, she remained in surgery, her premature baby in NICU, while she fought massive hemorrhaging. John fared better. My jade bracelet, which he'd taken, cushioned his chest during impact. His right leg wasn't spared. Rusted guardrail fragments caused severe tetanus. Amputation saved his life. I wasn't surprised. This aligned perfectly with my predictions. If anything, I found it underwhelming. Turning to John's secretary, I requested to see the infant. His hesitation made sense when I peered into the incubator, a blue-eyed baby with Down syndrome. John stared intently when I entered his recovery room later. I adjusted his bed height as he reached for me. Congratulations on your new son, I said, retreating to the visitor's chair. His hand fell empty. Emily Johnson was discharged from the hospital the day before yesterday. The baby remained in the incubator, and the secretary had already gone to retrieve him. John frowned slightly, appearing confused, though the doctors advised against agitating recently revived patients. I couldn't contain myself. Leaning back in the chair, I watched the secretary push open the door with the swaddled infant. My voice emerged spectral soft. Emily had been targeting you since last summer. Killing Lewis wasn't enough for her. As the secretary approached, he shot me a glance before placing the child into John's waiting arms with funeral solemnity. I stood to adjust the baby's cap, fingertips gently pulling back the hood to reveal his full face. Turning to stare at John, I stated, now she's killed your son. John remained motionless, gazing at the blue-eyed infant with sparse hair and low nasal bridge, no trace of his genetic imprint. After leaving the hospital, I severed all contact with him. Resigning from my job, I packed my belongings and spent 3 months traveling through southern France. On my return flight, Emma met me at arrivals. Laughing, I swept her into a spinning embrace. Sophia! She shrieked in my ear. You look incredible. My cropped hair gleamed chestnut under the terminal lights, sun-kissed skin glowing against the white tank and low-rise jeans. When I smiled, 8 immaculate teeth flashed. You must have had wild adventures. Tell me everything tonight. Seriously. Who'd believe you're 40? I flipped my hair, smirking. Who said 40? I'm clearly 41. During the drive, I pretended to nap while sensing Emma's frequent glances. Amused, I made her pull over after the exit ramp. Spit it out before you crash us. She bit her lip. Last week, John set himself on fire in your old marital home. I straightened. He survived. Third-degree burns over 80% of his body. My eyebrow twitched. This I hadn't anticipated. After discharge, He quit his job to hunt Emily down. Turned out she'd spent all his tuition and living allowance payments on male escorts and weed. Even squandered every prenatal care dollar. Emma's voice tightened. She'd been using him as an ATM. After the hysterectomy, she abandoned the infant. John tracked her to her hometown 2 months later and stabbed her to death. That same night, he flew back with your divorce papers and, you know the rest. I stared at my hands. Silent. Emma carefully unscrewed the water bottle for me, hesitantly asking, "You okay?" After all these years together, should we go check on John? My eyes lingered on Louis' photo glowing on my phone screen. She tilted her head at the camera. A vibrant butterfly perched on her left ear. In the background, I crouched making silly faces. This was John's favorite photograph. I exhaled deeply. Sunlight streamed through the windshield, warming my face and illuminating the empty, expansive highway stretching endlessly before us. Shaking my head slightly, I wiped the tear tracing my cheek. "Emma." My voice emerged softer than the hum of the AC vents. "You should totally milk me for dinner tonight." A shaky laugh escaped me as the traffic light turned green. "Celebrate my authentic freedom." The steering wheel vibrated faintly under my palms as I pressed the accelerator, the dotted lines blurring into continuous streaks like the years we'd left behind.